Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Players Earn YouTube channel and welcome back to our penultimate Premier League predictions video for match week 37. We've got there second last week. It's been a great journey. Thank you for joining me all for it. And gee, we've got some great games to preview this weekend. Still a title race and still, as much as a thin, slim chance it is, a relegation battle still up for grabs alongside a lot of teams competing for those final few European positions as well. So as much as there's a few dead rubbers here in this prediction video, there's still a lot of very exciting games to look forward to. And obviously, with it being a few catch-up games next week in the midweek, we've got about 13 or 14 games here to preview. So jam-packed prediction video for you guys for the penultimate weekend. Thank you for coming on the journey. And looking back to our prediction points, as we've sort of added on all year, we came to last week on 206 of our prediction points and added 8. So one of our most stronger weeks, the best we've had in a while. So we've gone to 214 of our prediction points. If you're somehow new here in the second last weekend, it is 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result predicted, and obviously 0 points for neither. Pushing for that 220-ish, 230 marks, which would be really, really exciting. With that all being said, ladies and gents, let's now get straight into those predictions. Alrighty, ladies and gents, our first game has some implication in the title race. It's Fulham hosting Manchester City there in London. Fulham obviously coming off a most boring 0-0 result, you would say, probably one of the boringest Premier League games we've had in a while here against Brentford last time out. They are truly now on the beach, as we say on the podcast, nothing to really play for, stuck in mid-table, and they've been seen flying kites on the Instagram during midweek. So they're a team totally off at the moment, only one win in the last 5 games, and despite some great Muniz form and some exciting players in this team here, they are switched off, they're clocked out. So I think Manchester City will have a field day here in this game here. They come off a massive 5-1 win versus Wolves. They are locked in that robotic type form as they end every season off, and they are charging to close down Aston. I think right now, this great run of form, the lack of losses they've had in 2024, and the sole focus now in the league title means they're going to go and batter Fulham here. I think it's going to be another 5-goal performance. I've got Manchester City winning this game 5-0. I'm thinking De Bruyne, Haaland heavily involved. And as always, Phil Foden will be on the score sheet as well here. But I'm going for a 5-0 smashing against Fulham. Our next game is up on Merseyside. It's Everton hosting Sheffield United. Everton safe, Sheffield United going down. Another one of those dead rubbers, but exciting nonetheless to see what the Toffees can put up here. They've produced some really good performances in recent weeks and come off a really solid performance versus Luton, where they were once again really defensively solid. So I think a Sean Dyer side will never give up, and there's a lot of players in that Sheffield United side playing for some contracts in some Premier League clubs next season. So I expect to see a bit of a competitive game nonetheless. I think though Everton, they're great form in recent weeks, unbeaten in their last 4 games. We're seeing improved performances in the middle of the park. They were just a Gunnar Gay, Garner in great form. And then you got the wide areas, Harrison and McNeil, who have been pivotal all season to the form of Everton, performing at such a high level. I think they carry that form on. They've been really, really impressive in recent weeks. Truckstreet Dykes is in great form at the moment. I think back at home as well, with that crowd right behind them, they'll get on top early. And if you can sort of shoulder and take that early Sheffield United charge, absorb that early pressure like we've seen Sheffield United put on teams in recent weeks, it's pretty much clean sailing for the rest of the game. So I back in Everton here. Despite that being said, Sheffield United, they've just got a free hit here. We saw the last few weeks, they've taken it to a few sides. They took it to Nottingham Forest for the most part. Arguably had some better chances than Forest, but they still lack that ability to finish in front of goal, and they're just not solid enough defensively for me. That's why they're going down. I think Everton will exploit that, especially in those wide areas there. I've got Everton winning this game 2-0. I think Sheffield United will throw some punches early on, but this Everton defence has been so solid all season, and they're in some great form in terms of scoring goals as well. So a nice, easy 2-0 win for me. Our next game has massive implications for the bottom of the table and a little bit for European contention as well. It's West Ham hosting Luton. West Ham currently, with the news of David Moyes being fired come season's end, their poor form, it looks like it's all falling apart currently for this side here. They've conceded now 12 goals in the last 3 games on the back of a 5-0 smacking by Chelsea at the Bridge last weekend. This side's lost all defensive security and all control in midfield areas, which they were so, relied on and were so known by for most this season. And most of David Moyes' leadership of this side. It seems to be going by the wayside. The players have checked out, and that's probably not a good thing coming into a game here where Luton are going to be up for it. I think you look to Piquet, you look to Bowen and Kudus, these guys are going to have to create a lot of clear-cut opportunities to score goals, because I don't think this defence can hold up, and I think the players are committed enough to tracking back and working defensively to get the game plan that David Moyes wants implemented done. I think for Luton, you look at them battling really hard in 2024. Only the one win versus Bournemouth in the current year. A few good performances, really good last time out versus Everton, but they still lack that ability to put teams away and win games when it comes down to it. I think that will hold them back once again here. Going to London Stadium is always hard work, but you've got to look to the likes of Alfie Doughty, Elijah DeBale, Carlton Morris. Try and utilise your pace to get in behind this really slow and weak current West Ham defence. I think that's going to be the key for Luton. Play with pace, take the game on, and just throw caution to the wind. They have to win this game. It is a massive 3 points if they have any hope of staying up in the Premier League. So they're going to have to win this game here and hopefully win it by a bit. But with that all being said, I think West Ham have enough quality in the top end of the pitch. Both teams will be going for it. Both teams' defences are going to be weak. As such, I'm seeing it being a score draw. I've gone with a 2-2 draw between these two sides here. Luton then definitely going down. Our next game is on the South Coast. It's Bournemouth hosting Brentford, and it looks like a bit of a dead rubber, but I think Bournemouth will be up for this one here. Andone Areola has got his side still clicking and playing good football. They could have easily gone by the wayside versus Arsenal, but the 3-0 result doesn't do it justice. They were very, very good for the majority of that game there versus Arsenal. A dodgy penalty, a goal, I think, harshly disallowed for Bournemouth. And it just never felt like anything was going to go their way in that game there. They were very competitive. It took to the 90th minute for the Arsenal to really put the game away. But credit to Bournemouth, they took it to this big side, and they take it to a lot of big sides. And I think, as I said in that Bournemouth video I did, they're top three teams come the turn of the year. They've played some fantastic football. And when you've got that midfield there with Cook, Christie and Scott, who controlled the game so well at times versus Arsenal and did it versus Brighton a few weeks ago as well. And you got Cliver and you got Semenyo and wide areas. I think they'll just make the most of this game here. Brentford, as you saw from their last game versus Fulham, and that 0-0, not really at the races, and they haven't been at the races a lot this season. And I think for Brentford, they're just a bit of a slower side and not quite as organised as what Bournemouth have been this season. I think in that midfield area and in the wide areas is where Bournemouth can expose his Brentford side and make the most of it. And I think when you got Dom Slanky up front in the goal scoring form he's in, when you got Semenyo and Clive, who are constant chance creators and such a solid and dynamic versatile midfield, I think it's a long day for Brentford. You're going to need really clinical finishing for the likes of Mbeumo and the likes of Evan Toney, and then Norgard in that midfield alongside Yanat to really produce some of their best performances of the season to compete with Bournemouth. And I think that's just not going to happen with this side that's currently safe, parked up. They're not really focused. They've checked out for the season. So I've got Bournemouth winning this game at home 3-1 and increasing their record points tally in the Premier League season. Our next game is a bit of an exciting one. It's Wolves hosting Crystal Palace. Two teams in contrasting form, but both can play some really exciting football. Wolves obviously coming off that 5-1 loss to Man City, which is harsh but deserved. They only had the one shot in that game there. But we know they're much improved at home. And with their players coming back and a chance to play a Palace team that isn't so dangerous going forward, like some of the big teams they've played in recent weeks, some of those top teams, they might go and express themselves a little bit more. I do doubt it because Gary O'Neill orientates his whole team around defensive football, and I think that's the wrong way to take this game because Crystal Palace, their forwards and their midfields are in the form of their life. Mateta currently 8 goals in his last 9 games. Michael Elise has 4 goal contributions in his last 4 games. Wharton alongside Hughes in that midfield have been so dynamic and so important and crucial to this high energy, high pressing Crystal Palace team. And for me, they've become one of my favourite teams alongside Bournemouth to follow over the last month. They're playing some really attacking style of football, high energy football that it's just, you just have to watch it. Tyrick Mitchell in the goal last time out as well. He's been very impressive. And I feel like this system has just fit Palace to a T. Oliver Glasner's looked at the strength of this team, their work rate, their youthfulness, and their ability to run both ways. And they've just implemented such a great fashion that they're just overwhelming for teams to deal with. And I think they'll be overwhelming here for Wolves to deal with as well. If Gary O'Neill and his team go to that more defensive style of football, I don't think they can get much out of it. Go play attacking, try and feed the likes of Cunha and Huang Li Chan, who has scored 2 goals in the last 2 games. Try and get these guys involved and try and get a score on the board. Because if you're not going to score goals, Crystal Palace will punish you. You saw it last time out, 4-0 win over United. They are currently in some great form, backing up of a recent massive win over Newcastle as well at home. So they're a really good team. Be interested to see how they travel here at Wolves, because Molyneux's a hard place to play football, but I do back Palace in. I've got them winning this game 3-1. I think the form, momentum, and the current strikers, the forwards, are just too much for Wolves to handle. The next game is in London. It's his Tottenham host Burnley. A massive game for Tottenham. Obviously, 4 losses on the bounce, 7 points away from Champions League football, and they've just lost their mojo. Maddison's not in form. Papsar and Basuma aren't in form. The wing-backs aren't defending well. Emerson and Pedro Porro struggled in recent weeks. Just seem to have lost their legs. They look a little bit lethargic and a little bit slow, and you can see maybe Ange Postecoglou's one style of football is just taking a toll on his team, and managers try to work him out. I think they have worked him out. So it'll be very interesting to see how they approach this game here. A good chance to bounce back into a Burnley side that isn't quite so solid at the back. You look at the likes of O'Shea, Esteve, Aston, Vitinho, really aggressive defence which can go forward but really struggle defensively, making a lot of mistakes, getting exposed at times. So I expect this game to be a high-scoring affair. Burnley do travel okay. They recently got a point at United, and I think they could try and establish a similar style of football here versus Tottenham, which is absorb some pressure at times, but also really take it to Tottenham, because that defence is equally as worrying at times. Try and expose those areas like Fofana, Zeki Amdouni, Lyle Foster's, whoever plays up top there, try and expose the Tottenham backline, which has been shaky at times, and get at them, because as much as your defence is vulnerable, also is Tottenham. So it might be a case of who can score more in this game here, who's going to stand up more. And I think whatever defence is more solid, I think we'll get over the line this game. And it seems ridiculous for comparing Burnley to Tottenham in a game like this, but I think Tottenham will have the quality. Tottenham need the win. And I think at the end of the day, some of their big stars will turn up, looking like Heung-min Son, Brennan Johnson, who's been in fantastic form, even Dejan Kulusevski. I think some of these big forwards will turn up in this game here, will put the game in Tottenham's favour, and I've got them winning it as such, 4-2. Again, as I said, a high-scoring affair, but I think Tottenham just got the quality in the players to get the job done here. The next game is up north, Newcastle hosting Brighton. And a very interesting game here. Newcastle obviously keep fighting for this chance of Europa League football, or even European football in general. It's going to be very, very tight here, fighting for European positions. And they've been in very solid form as of recently. A few up and down results, but you're starting to see more consistency in midfield, defensive and forward areas. And that's such a bit more chance creation. And we're seeing the results there. And they come up for 4-0 win last time out versus Burnley, a really critical performance. They scored 13 goals in their last 4 games. And we're seeing Isaac, Gordon, Murphy, Barnes all heavily involved and all heavily given chances. And when you give these guys their chances, they're so clinical in front of goal and so dynamic, there's going to be goals scored. You've got Isaac now, 10 goals in his last 9 Premier League games. Anthony Gordon has 6 score involvements in his last 6 Premier League games. So get these guys the ball, let them do their work, and you're going to win games of football. And I think currently Bruno Guimaraes is controlling the game so well for Newcastle, and that's where this game will probably be won and lost versus Brighton. They come off a impressive 1-0 win versus Villa, where they only allowed Villa, I believe, 3 shots on goal, 2 on target in the whole game. A Villa side is very attacking and very pacey up top. So fair play to Brighton. They got their back 4 sorted out. Veltman back, Webster back, Igor alongside Dunk, Verbruggen back in goal, and Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore dictate that game for midfield there. So I think that's where the game is going to be won and lost. Who can control that midfield battle there? Who can control the momentum and the pace of the game? Brighton, when they're at their best, like they were last time out versus Aston Villa, control the pace of the game, control momentum, and let their attacking work do the talking. We haven't seen that now for months on end. We're looking towards the start of the season. That was the type of performance that Brighton put up. Adingra heavily involved, João Pedro heavily involved, Danny Welbeck being a pivotal figure. If we get that sort of Brighton that controls the game and can attack for minute 1 to minute 90, we could be seeing an upset here. But I think Newcastle at home, arguably on a longer form run, some better players in big positions, and the need to win for European contention. I've got them win this game 3-0. I just think this Brighton system, we haven't seen enough of this Brighton system where they've been so attacking and so resilient. And I think going up to St James's Park, such a hard place to play. So I've got Newcastle win this game quite comfortably, 3-0. Next game is Nottingham Forest host Chelsea. in a massive game for Nottingham Forest relegation hopes and Chelsea's hopes of staying in the European positions. Obviously for Forest, they come off a very impressive 3-1 win versus Sheffield United, where they shouldered that early storm for Sheffield United, dealt with a lot of their chances early in that game and fought back well. But once again, I feel like it's going to be on the back here of Murillo and Ryan Yates in that midfield area there. Can they keep out Chelsea's dynamic midfield? Can they prevent and protect that back line there? And also, can they get Forest transitioning well and going offensively? Because we know when Forest win the ball back and they play that sort of one-touch, more expansive, high-pacey, counter-attacking football, that's when they're at their best, when they can get these players like Alanka and Hudson-Odoi and Morgan Gibbs-White in behind the back line there. And then up top, those three names I mentioned, also Chris Wood, can they be clinical in front of goal? You're not going to get the same amount of chances like you did versus Sheffield United versus the Chelsea side. So you got to take the chances when you get them. And I think if you employ a similar strategy to how you did at Stamford Bridge in the reverse fixture early in the year, and also against Man City, it'll go a long way. But you just got to take those chances. Man City, they could have easily won that game if they'd taken their chances, but they didn't. They can take it here versus Chelsea, a more vulnerable side. You can easily go and get a massive 3 points or even a massive point for your chance of staying in the Premier League. For Chelsea, obviously great form recently, just sparked up and sprung into that Conference League position. Been fantastic in recent weeks, playing some really good football. Conor Gallagher's been pivotal. Obviously, Cole Palmer's been ridiculous, but there's been more support around him. Makolo Mudrik's running in behind has been fantastic, opening up spaces, creating for other people. Noni Madueke with his assists, goals, and direct running, fantastic. Nicholas Jackson seems to be continuing to get involved, no matter how good or bad his performances have been. He continues to get assists and goals. And obviously at the back, Thiago Silva's been the leader all season. He's been fantastic continually. So good signs at Chelsea, and I think they'll continue the good vibes here. Off the back of that 5-0 win versus West Ham. I've got them win this game 3-1 versus Nottingham Forest. I think the big attacking stars will turn up in the important moments, and I think they'll control the game for the most part and get a very big 3-1 win. Our next game should be hyped up as a big game, but unfortunately I think I can see it only going one way. It's Manchester United hosting Arsenal. And United obviously coming off that 4-0 humbling at Crystal Palace says a lot about where the club is right now. No fit centre-halves. You've got a really poor, out-of-form Casemiro, overplayed Diogo Dalot and Kobe Manu. No Bruno Fernandes, out-of-form forwards and wingers. It's just all over the place right now. And a manager that's job is based on the line, if not already sacked. So it is all over the place right now for United. Only one win in the last 7 Premier League games, and that was Sheffield United at home. It's been tough at times, and I think if any kind of versus Man United is right now, they're in bottoming out type of form. Arsenal come off another impressive 3-0 win versus Bournemouth. Controversial or not, they got the job done, and they continue to be very impressive. And I think you keep feeding the likes of Trossard, Havertz, and Saka, you're going to get results. Kai Havertz's been fantastic since the turn of the year. Bukayo Saka continues just to provide assists and goals. And Leandro Trossard is a sniper in front of goal at the moment. He continues to find the back of the net in so many different ways with so many different types of goals. And then right now, Declan Rice, in that more progressive role with Thomas Partey holding, it's just freed him up, and his goal on the weekend, his assist, and then also he's just playmaking from a deep line position has been fantastic. We've been waiting to see it all season. They're finally paired up in there in that midfield duo with Martin Odegaard in front. I think right now, that midfield alone is enough for me to convince me that Manchester United will get battered. I've got Arsenal winning this game 5-0. They're charging for a title. United are all over the place, and I think it's going to be quite an easy walk in the park here for Arsenal. Our next game is Aston Villa hosting Liverpool at Villa Park. Aston Villa obviously coming off a tough week last week. A loss to Olympiacos, a loss to Brighton. They obviously play Olympiacos in the second leg tonight in Greece in the Conference League. So we're interested to see how they bounce back from that. They normally handled that Sunday fixture quite well, but we saw last week they just looked a little bit flat and not at their best, really slow in their build-up and real lack conviction in their play. And I feel like if you're going to get anything out of this game versus Liverpool, you've got to have a bit more pace in that final third there, have a bit more of that clinical edge and a bit more, conviction in your play. Really take it to Liverpool, who have been vulnerable at times this season. You've got to feed the ball to Ollie Watkins. 5 goal contributions in his last 5 games. But in the last 2 games where they've drawn to Chelsea and lost to Brighton, he has had a real lack of supply or lack of ability to create things in that final third or score for himself. So I feel like feed him the ball, feed Leon Bailey the ball. When those two are at their best and running in behind and working together in a tandem, Villa are at their best. So you've got to find them more often than not. And then for Liverpool, obviously, mathematically still in the title race, but it feels like they're absolutely out of it. And that lack of pressure, you saw them improve performance versus Tottenham. The 4-2 result, clinical. Mohamed Salah in the goals. Harvey Elliott producing one of the best games I've seen for him in a while. McAllister and Endo controlling the midfield area. And it just felt like Liverpool of old, of about a month ago, and they're just consistently beating teams. I feel like the lack of pressure will help them again. Obviously, with Villa playing in midweek as well, they're going to have a bit more tired legs. And I think Liverpool will end the season off strong here, especially with Jurgen Klopp having his second last game in the Premier League. I think they'll take it to this team here in Villa, and I think they'll get the better of him. I got them Liverpool win this game 3-1. I think I like what Harvey Elliott's doing. If he can keep creating, if Mo Salah can be clinical for a goal alongside Cody Gakpo and Diaz, then they put Aston Villa away here, a team that has basically already qualified for Champions League football next season. Our next game is probably the game of this extended match week here. It's Tottenham hosting Manchester City. Massive implications on the title race. Obviously, we think of Tottenham at home to Manchester City. We think about a bit of a fortress there and how Man City have lost games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I feel like for Tottenham, you've got to be at your resilient, hard-working best. Think back to that 3-3 earlier this season at Man City. I think about when they performed their best early in the season. It was hard-working midfielders working both ways. And really making it difficult for their opposition in terms of pressing high up the pitch, but also knowing when to sit in and be a bit more defensive. I think Ange has to swallow his pride a little bit in this game here and employ a bit of a defensive style of football to try and get a result at this game. Obviously, going to this game, Villa could have won their game. Tottenham could have dropped some points, so it could be all over Champions League football. But when this game kicks off, they could still have a chance of Champions League football. So you've got to take it seriously. And to stop Man City winning a title, I think Tottenham will be up for that game there. I think you're going to need big performances from Heung-min-son, from the likes of Van de Ven and Romero at the back, and then composure in the midfield area, looking for more control in that midfield area versus a very dangerous Man City team. You think of Kevin De Bruyne, you think of Haaland, you think of Foden, you think of Bernardo Silva, you think of Rodri. These players are winners, and in this big moment, these big games here, despite how much of a banana skin it can be, this Tottenham game, I think these big players rise to the occasion. They get the result here. I think it'll be back and forth. I think there'll be goals galore. I'm going with Man City to claw their way out a 3-2 victory here over Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Our next game sees us back on the south coast. It's Brighton hosting Chelsea midweek next week. Very interesting game. Brighton, as I said, might have turned a corner, but we just don't know if they can put together consistent performances. But we know at home they're really, really strong. And I think once again in this game here, controlling that midfield area is going to be so important. Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmour, can they control this game versus the Conor Gallagher, Caicedo, Cole Palmer midfield? Because if you allow that midfield for Chelsea to get on top, that's when they normally look at their best, when they can spread the ball out wide, when they can allow their midfielders to push onto the edge of the area. That's when Chelsea are at their best. And for Brighton, they're at their best when they've got possession in midfield areas and they're allowed to play forward, when they're not playing sideways or backwards, when they can try and put pressure on teams by attacking them. And I think both teams are vulnerable enough at the back. Both teams have positive and negatives in the midfield area. I think they'll just cancel each other out. I think Chelsea, as much as they've been in good form, they only have a maximum amount of games they're going to be in good form for. So I think they have a little bit of a drop-off here in this game versus Brighton. I think both teams getting the score sheet. I think both teams at this point in time, bit of freedom come the end of the season. They've got a 2-2 draw happening here. I think both teams will get in the score sheet. I think Brighton score first, Chelsea equalise, and Brighton again before Chelsea equalise for a second time. Both teams with quality. If who can ever win that midfield battle will likely win this game of football for me. Our final game of this extended match week 37 is Manchester United hosting Newcastle. And we know United love a bounce-back type performance. And I think at home, the last home game of the season, they will take it to Newcastle United. I expect a few more players to be back. Rumours of some defenders returning come at that second last game of the season. Maybe potentially Bruno Fernandes back. And I think a sense of you have to win. You just, at that point in time, this game versus Newcastle could turn into a massive type game in terms of who qualifies for Conference League and who misses out. So I think we all guns to the wall, and having that home ground advantage at Old Trafford, I think United get the better of Newcastle in this game here. There's no reason why. I think the momentum, the time of the game, how United have to bounce back, and being at Old Trafford, I think it just works in United's favour. Don't get me wrong though, Newcastle is that Gordon give me a rest. If these guys get on top, Newcastle will walk this game. But I think just in big moments, big United players will start. I think Højlund is big in this game here for me. Alejandro Garnacho's going to be big in this game for me. And I think that midfield is going to be so important. Kobbie Mainoo alongside Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, that midfield there. If they can start getting on top and controlling the tempo and pace of the game and start getting United going forward with a bit more authority, I think United can get on top. One of my most roguish predictions of all season, I'm going with United to nick this game 2-1 at home and to keep the hopes of the Conference League next season alive. With that all being said, ladies and gents, that brings my Premier League predictions for match week 37, the extended match week, to an end. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. How do you think some of these games go on the weekend? Who will be in the advantage seat come the end of this match week, going into the final match week in terms of the title race? Will there be a shake-up at the bottom? And who will qualify for those final few European spots? Let me all know that in the comment section down below. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to smash a like on it. Subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more content like this. Podcast, prediction videos, analytical videos, reaction videos. They're all going to live here on the channel. And please press that post notification bell so you know when we upload our next video. With it all being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the penultimate weekend of Premier League football action. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on a video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.